All you had to do for me was turn on the film in 2019. And with 4 games to go, the Eagles needed to win out. And not only did they win out, but in each of those games, as I recall, looking at the film, Carson had to play great in the second half, play a major role in that team winning those games in the second half. He did that, and that wasn't 2017. That was 2019. So in my mind, that just confirmed to me that this guy still has it. And that's what makes this so confounding, Dan Orlovsky. We have been talking about this because Wentz finished up the 19 season so well, and he was playing great, and he seemed to be showing the leadership we had been asking for him. So it is inexplicable. Well, it's not inexplicable, but you explained to me how we got from there to the Eagles being willing basically to give him away a year later, and now Frank Reich has to rehabilitate him. How did that happen?
That's weird. Twitter tells me that Carson Wentz stunk in 2019. Greeny, I think like the reality is this: Carson Wentz's performance on the field will be dependent on his growth off the field. He's going to have to go to that locker room, just like Phillip Rivers did, who's coming from a different team and off of a down year, and win over that locker room. And we talk about relationships in football all the time. Like, what does that actually mean? He's got to go to those offensive linemen and figure out what Phillip Rivers did to get those guys to feel like they would die for him. You know, get those guys to feel like they will play as hard as they can for him. Those receivers, the relationship with the receivers is about trust. How does he build the trust with Michael Pittman Jr. and some of those tight ends? And to know exactly what those guys are going to do all the time. The running backs, play as hard as you can for a defense. A defense to believe that if they get the ball back to Carson Wentz, that he'll go do something with it. He's got to go build that stuff. You know, all of this is dependent upon respect in the NFL. And, you know, it's so unique because the quarterback position is indifferent or very different than all the other positions. Respect in the NFL with all the other positions is often about Sundays. Show up and get your job done. Playing quarterback is like being the president. It's 24/7, 365. And that's how he's got to earn the respect of that organization and inside of that locker room.
David Pollack, I'm trying to read the look on your face. What do you think?
Only the quarterback's 365. Nobody else has to worry about preparing all year long. Just the quarterbacks, the big dumb animals up front, can't learn any tendencies and can't continue to work on their craft, evolve, develop, and grow. I mean, goodness gracious. Hey, but no, here's the deal. To me, Dan, he does have to do that. He does have to win the locker room. And he's following a guy in Phillip Rivers who was not only good at it, he was great at it. Phillip Rivers is a dude that you want to run through a wall for, and you saw that. So he's got to come in. He's got to get the pulse of his team. He's also got to build. They also got to build his confidence, and that's the good thing about the Colts is I don't have to ask him to do everything. I got to ask him to fit in the wheel. Like, listen, come in, lead OTAs, from what everybody talks about, what happened in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts is a lot better leader than Carson Wentz was. That can't be the case when you come to Indianapolis. You got to grab the bull by the horns. You got to lead the offseason. You can do it this year. But I think if I'm the Colts, it's building his confidence step by step. The good thing is I don't have to ask him to do it. But it's interesting, too, Greeny. Frank Reich talked about the 2019 tape.
Yeah.
He didn't talk about the 2020. That just happened. So got to fix that.
For good reason. Exactly. It's exactly right. Let me get Graziano in on one thought here, too, that I think is interesting. Because Wentz does seem to land in exactly the spot he wanted and the perfect place for him, based on a lot of different circumstances. But that also creates a lot of pressure on him, Dan. Why is that?
There are very few second chances that are set up as well as Carson Wentz's second chances, right? He did want to go to Indianapolis with Frank Reich. He made that clear behind the scenes, which is one reason the Bears didn't pursue very hard the possibility of a trade there. So, yes, that relationship with Reich is what he's relying on to get his career back on track. It's what Frank Reich and the Colts are relying on to have a franchise quarterback that they believe Carson Wentz can be. If it doesn't work for him in Indianapolis, it's hard to see where he turns for a third chance in his career. So the contract should keep him there a couple of years. He has time to figure out his place in the whole thing. But if he doesn't, and I think to Orlovsky's point, the behind-the-scenes stuff is super important here. If he doesn't, then his career goes in a direction we would have never expected it to go.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.